Hi, you're listening to the Chasing Tone podcast. I'm Travis.
I'm Max.
I'm Brian.
All right, yeah, the man behind the tone curtain.
Nope.
It's working, Max.
Hashtag wrong. Hashtag wrong.
Hash brown tone curtain. Hash brown tone curtain.
That sounds terrible. I would never order that from a restaurant.
It's not whatever. But, okay, so just kind of want to get something out there a little bit. Every now and again, we're going to say some words that aren't cuss words, but may be offensive to people, maybe, 12?
Maybe so.
Maybe, like, and I don't mean that ugly, like, towards people that it offends. I mean that as in, like,
if you have your little 6-year-old daughter in the car, she might say, Daddy, what does that mean?
Exactly.
So you might want to,
I mean, it's probably all stuff that is heard on primetime TV, so it's nothing bad. But just want to throw that out there.
Right.
If
we are a bunch of guitar players who've been playing in bars most of our lives. So.
Yeah, okay. And most of the time, it's Max's fault.
It is Max's
Hash
fault
brown wrong.
all the time.
Hash brown wrong. Okay, so that's out of the way. Now let's get to the fun stuff, right? Okay, so today's episode. No, okay, so obviously, when you're talking electric guitar, let's get as geeky as we can. All right, what I'm talking about. You start with the wood of your guitar, into the electronics or in the strings, and then your cable, and then your pedals, and then your, all the things, the speakers, everything that goes in to the tone of your guitar. Okay, so I don't want to get too geeked out on that, but I do think let's start. I think listeners would want to know our opinion of what, in our mind, would, if we could upgrade one thing, what would it be? And let's say we're on a budget. In other words, and what I mean by that is you can't say, oh, well, I'd just go buy a $4,000 amp. You know what I mean?
Right.
That would change it all. That would make the biggest. Well, of course it would. Let's say we're on, and I'm not going to give an exact figure, but let's say we're on a budget and we can't afford to go out and buy a new amp, but we could afford to buy a speaker or something. You see what I'm saying?
Do we have a credit card?
We do. Okay.
That our spouse may not
I was
know
getting ready
that
to say,
we have?
I was getting ready to say, yes, you have a credit card, but you have a wife with access to the statement. So no.
Okay, that changes things
Right?
as well.
Right?
Of course.
Okay. Speaking of credit and banks, you know what happened to me today? Somebody tried to hack into my bank account. Can you believe that?
That wasn't. I never heard that.
There's way better bank accounts to hack into than mine. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm a guitar player.
You're a musician.
It's, like,
You have
it's
no
gone.
money.
So you say they're hacking your bank account, and you're like, oh, crap.
Most people are like, oh my God, somebody's hacking my bank. Somebody hacked into my bank. I chuckle. It's like,
Suckers.
oh, fantastic. Thank you, crooks, jerks.
Now the guitar builders.
Dude,
Now the guitar
not crook guitars. Although if he were to send me one, I'd definitely say thank you. His guitars are amazing.
Yeah, they're good too.
Yeah. But yeah, I can't.
Plus, they have G and B benders in them.
I wonder if it's Strats.
No, he actually does not.
Oh, he doesn't?
He does not.
Dang.
I don't really know. I just said that, but you might want to look it up.
I think he does.
Crookguitars.com.
Anyways.
Oh yeah, crookguitars.com, right? Okay, so back to this. Let's say you're on a budget or you have a bank account that's been hacked into, so you have no money in it. But what's the big thing? Yours is probably going to be a pedal, right?
Man, that's a tough one.
Oh, I know. It's yeah.
And there's because I don't know the dollar amount. So I mean, if you're under 1,000.
No. I'm talking budget. Like, let's say.
Bill 50?
No, more than that because. Okay, yeah, let's go $300. Let's go $300.
So $300 to spend on what right now?
Anything to upgrade
Whatever
your
you
tone.
want.
Okay, so I already have a guitar. I already have an amp.
You have everything, but you got $300, and let's say, let's do some imaginary gear here for you.
New knobs.
Yeah, there you go. Speed knobs, gear shifter. I need a new wang bar, twang bar. I need a twang bar, but let's say you have a Mexican Telecaster, good guitar, right?
Okay,
but not really expensive. Okay, you have. I'm not even getting into pedals because $300 range you can pretty much buy. There's a lot of things you can buy.
Am I allowed to build my own? Or do I have to, okay, let's be fair.
Yeah.
I got to buy them.
Okay, you got to buy them. All right, so you got a $300 spending limit. You have a Mexican Telecaster. We'll have Stratocasters, of course.
Let's make this more interesting. Let's say non-Wampler stuff.
Well, yeah. I mean, mine, of course, would be
pedals.
non-Wampler stuff. I'm joking.
Okay.
But,
I'm
okay,
just
non-Wampler
saying,
stuff.
I mean, let's take the bias out of it. So
yeah, completely.
there's no Wampler pedals on the market.
Okay. All right. So there'd be a lot of pedal builders probably happy if that happened. No. I would
And a
be
lot of
terrified.
wives.
I would not have a job. But
Yeah, they're kind of.
there was
Okay,
there was a builder one time I was talking to, and I said something about a pedal that you were thinking about doing. He was like, "You should tell Brian not to do that." And I was like, "Why?" He's like, "Because we have one." But okay, so let's say, and you can. I'm just making this up off of my head. So, but let's say you have a Mexican Telecaster, which is a great guitar for the money. Then you have just standard guitar cables. Okay. And then let's say you have a tube screamer.
Okay.
And then you're going into
Is it true bypass?
no. And then you go because that's something you can upgrade.
Okay.
But and then you're going into Fender Hot Rod Deluxe.
Okay.
Is that,
Okay.
I mean that's
fair enough,
that's- and that's a pretty good rig. It's a very common rig, and I bet you there's some listeners out there saying that's what I play.
Do I have any pedals at all?
Tube screamer.
Just a tube screamer.
Just
Okay.
a tube screamer.
And a
That's
tuner,
all you need.
right? I got a tuner, right?
No, I use your ear for that.
No. Okay.
Just
First
that.
thing I'm going to do is buy new strings.
Okay.
I'm gonna buy new strings. Second thing I'm going to do is get the speaker out of that Hot Rod Deluxe
Okay.
and put a different speaker.
Well,
in
let me get a piece of paper. Hold on, let me get on this here. So, new strings, $10.
Okay.
All right, here we go. So you're left with $290,
Okay. So I'm going to get a new speaker.
and you are a customer. You have no ties with any companies.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm going to get a new speaker. So
$100.
Let's say 75 to $100 maybe.
Okay, let's do 100. It's easy.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, left with 190.
Gosh, for me, I'm gonna have to have a tuner because that's like
Okay,
my
we'll
sore
throw
spot.
we'll throw in.
Okay,
the tuner.
okay,
We'll throw in
okay,
the tuner.
okay. From there,
I want this to be tone related.
okay. So from there, I am going to. Golly, man, I'm probably going to need another overdrive.
Yeah,
And
with $190 to spare,
or
that's-
distortion. So, got to be budget minded here.
Yeah.
So,
I don't know, $190. That'll land you quite a few overdrives.
yeah, but I don't want to blow it all in one place.
I got you. Don't spend all your money in
Yeah,
one place.
So, if I had the ability, I would probably buy a cheaper pedal and modify it.
Okay.
If I wanted to.
Okay, how's this? You do not have a tube screamer. No pedals. You don't have any pedals.
Okay, I don't have any pedals. Okay, so then, well, I gotta have tube screamer.
Really?
Yeah,
Really?
you gotta have that mid range thing.
Okay. All right.
You got
Okay,
to.
if you did have a tube screamer then. Like I
Okay.
said, it's all hypothetical.
Okay, so
I'm just trying to go.
and I'm thinking budget minded, so I gotta have a distortion now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm probably, gosh, man, off the top of my head, probably like an OCD or something.
Okay.
Something
yeah.
that's not necessarily very niched focused.
What are those? That's like 140, 150, something like that. I don't remember.
About $150.
Okay,
About
I'm making that up because I have no idea.
Okay, so yeah, so probably like an OCD or something.
Okay.
And
So let's say you're left with $40 if it's $150.
okay, so $40. I'm going to. Golly.
Yeah, and you
I
don't
got
have to
nothing.
spill it. Yeah, if you
Six
don't
pack
have
of beer and it's a night.
Boom, there you go. That's an expensive six pack, bro.
I don't drink beer. That
Yeah, you are a hipster if you're drinking $40 six pack beer.
What happened to you, Brian?
Yeah, what happened? I feel like I don't. I feel like I don't even know you anymore.
A 6-pack of like Keystone Light or
So
something.
$40, that's like 190 bottles of Bud Light, I think.
Dude, I'll never forget. I went into a Walgreens one time, and this has been. It was CVS because it wasn't called CVS. It was like Hooks or something. Remember those?
That's
Yeah,
a long
I
time
remember
ago.
Yeah. But I was a kid, but my stepdad at the
was a
time
real
was an
long time ago.
raging alcoholic. So I went in there and he was like, go get me some beer. So I went back there and I didn't know anything about beer because I'm a kid, right? But I literally remember it plain as day. It was all white cans with black lettering, like impact font, you know what I mean? That just said beer. And I was like, well, that's the one. So I grabbed it and he got mad at me because it wasn't his MGD. True story. True story. Yeah.
That sounds terrible.
Yeah. Looking back on it, it probably wasn't healthy, to send your stepkid in there to buy beer and then get mad at him for getting the wrong kind. It's like, I'm 4,
When did this turn into like a therapy session?
Well, no, because think about it. It would have been in like 1988. It has 10.
So how'd that make you feel?
How'd that make you feel?
I'd like a case of beer and a pack of smokes, please.
Dude, I used to buy cigarettes. When I was a kid with a note. You remember? You guys ever?
Your
had
parents like pinned the $5 in your shirt. Like, buy me some cigarettes.
I would take my bicycle and I would go buy cigarettes with a note. Be like, they're from my mom. They'd be like, okay. True story.
I actually did that too when I was a kid, and that worked when you were 10.
Yeah,
back then.
Yeah, exactly.
Back then it worked.
You would have been 1946 when you were 10.
That's funny. Oh my god.
Okay, we're so far off track.
Okay, I do have one more thing.
Okay.
I'd buy flowers for my wife so she wouldn't get mad that I bought all that gear.
Right. Okay. This is the guy that refuses to buy flowers on Valentine's Day because it's expected.
Yeah, it's a made-up holiday.
It's a Hallmark Corporation.
Oh no. Saint Francis Valentine came down and said, "Let there be love."
No.
Isn't that in the book?
In the
book?
I don't know.
Logan? No, he's not. Okay, I
Like
don't
how
know.
he whispers.
Yeah, he says, "No, don't bring me into this."
So.
Okay, so
have
now
your money.
you have, or you. That's good, right?
Yeah, you got to buy something for the wife so you don't get in trouble when you get home.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's good. So, Max, you have a Mexican Stratocaster.
Okay.
Okay, and the exact same rig.
So tube screamer.
Yeah, and then I want to hear with it. Well, let me ask you this: if I said no tube screamer, it would be a tube screamer.
It'd be a tube screamer. Yeah.
Same here. So let's all assume, because I think that's pretty fair to say
That's a good
that
staple.
the average person has a Telecaster, Les Paul, or Strat, or something like that, right? And then, your tube screamer, and then hot rod. I think that's a pretty fair rig, right?
Yeah, it's fair.
And it's a good sounding rig.
You can get a lot done with that.
Yeah. Okay. So
That's
you
awesome.
have a Mexican Strat. Okay. You have your tube screamer and a hot rod deluxe.
Right. So I'm already kind of happy with the deluxe and the tube screamers. I'll probably leave those alone. Mm-hmm. With upgrades to my guitar. So I have some weird ones, but it always works out for me, especially as a Strat guy.
Hold on. $300. Let me
$300,
get
$300.
pen and paper.
So I'd probably swap out my pickups first and foremost.
What would you go with?
Something budget friendly. I'd go probably like Texas Specials from Fender. I think they're about $200. $300.
I don't know.
They're about $199.
Okay,
You'd
we'll
probably
say- We'll say 200.
say $200.
That just totally annihilated all your money, though.
Well,
That's
no,
a lot of money. That's a lot of money.
Here's something else. Though. A lot of Strat guys don't think about, but I'm such a nerd. This is all I think about.
Mm-hmm.
But on the trim block, and a lot of production Stratocasters are really thin,
Yeah.
super thin. They Fender after CBS took over, occasionally cut out a lot of that metal. You don't get as much sustain. There's a great company out there called Callahan Parts.
Yeah,
and they make spec trim blocks just like they did in the '60s, and it's a world difference, hands down.
Really?
And you can pick one up for like $60.
$60. So, man, you got $40 left.
Yep.
Flowers and beer?
No, I'm already in trouble for spending $260. So I would definitely strings. I mean, that's kind of a no-brainer. But the other thing you can do, and I just found out about these recently. Callahan again makes them, but Graphtec also makes great string saddles. Mm-hmm. And breaking strings at a gig, especially
Can you get saddles for $40?
Graphtec, you can, yeah.
Really? Are they
Yeah.
that inexpensive?
Yep, and Callahan's the same way.
Ah, okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
So that's where my money go. All
On
in the guitar,
guitar, huh?
suspension and pickups.
Disappointed there's no pedal purchases there.
I got a tube screamer. What else do I need?
2 tube screamers.
I want 2 tube screamers, but I mean the guitar needs upgraded. It's a Mexican Stratocaster. Not that it's a bad guitar. I've had them.
Yeah.
But it needs to be hot rodded a little bit.
Okay. That's good, right? Yeah,
not
okay.
bad.
That's a good rig. I
know.
I know. But there's a lot of money in the guitar there, and yours is more dispersed out. Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm going to go, since we already did Strat and Telly, let's just do the other big one. Let's say I have an Epiphone Les Paul, which is a good
Why do you
guitar.
get the good guitar?
Huh? Epiphone Les Paul is just it's the same thing, right? I mean, it's comparable in
that's good.
price. Yeah. So an Epiphone Les Paul, tube screamer, and hot rod deluxe. I'm with you, Brian. The first thing I would do would be the speaker, hands down. The problem is I wouldn't know which one I'd want, but they're all going to be around $100, so I can't really be specific there.
I wonder if like Guitar Center and those type of stores, I wonder if they have a return policy for speakers. So
I don't
if you
know.
could buy a speaker and try it, like, not that one, and go back and try
the
another
thing
one.
is, too, is I would probably look at a company like WGS for the simple fact that you can call there and bug the crap out of them and waste their time and
Right.
say, hey, this is the sound I want.
And those guys know what a Fender
Exactly.
Deluxe, what sounds,
Exactly.
what this speaker sounds like in that amp, or what this other speaker sounds like in that. I mean, they just
Right.
You got guitar players who have a ton of amps.
Who sit in a room with speakers.
Yeah,
and
and
play
they've
them. Yeah.
tried all this stuff over and over and over and over. So I mean,
Yeah.
they know that product so well.
And another
And
company.
you usually don't get that with a lot of speaker companies.
No, you really don't. I mean, another company like that's Weber. One
Weber's
thing-
another great example. Yeah.
One thing I thought was cool, and this was years ago, back when Ted was still alive. I called and I needed a speaker. Well, why else would you call, right? But I called, and Ted answered, and I was telling him what I want, and I said, I'm putting together my dream amp. Here's the cabinet. I want a 15-inch speaker. Speakers don't cost a fortune. So I was like, money's really not an object. And he's like, well, what are you looking for? Well, I told him the tones I wanted, and he sold me his cheapest 15-inch speaker. And that's always rung true with me. It's kind of like, yeah, that's I'll go back there, because he could have taken me for $250, and he sold me a $100 speaker. But so don't be afraid to go small companies, just so you can try things out that way. But okay, so speaker. So let's say that's $100, right?
Okay.
Okay, so that's a pretty big chunk of it right there. I hate to say it too, I would probably go with a new bridge humbucker, because it's the only pickup you'll ever need on a Les Paul. That's kind of like your Telecaster thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, give me a Les Paul Special or even a Junior. It's a P90. But anyways, you only need the bridge.
Just sell the neck pickup and then buy.
Yeah,
buy more
exactly,
stuff.
Killing me,
exactly. But yeah, it's so funny, Max.
I've been using them more lately. But
I have
still
a
that guy.
when I would play Max, if he's ever out, or if he's watching my band or I watch his, we'll get each other up for a song or two, right? So I get him up to play my rig, and I have a Les Paul, and to me, my bridge pickups just sounded incredible all night, and I want to hear it out front. So I'm like, hey Max, you care to play a couple songs? I can sit back and listen. And sure enough, he didn't switch to the bridge pickup once. He played everything on the neck pickup. Oh, it drove me crazy. But so
It's
I
not
don't.
a killer though.
Yeah, it's that.
Proof that you're just plain wrong.
Hash brown wrong.
Yeah. But see, but Travis says so much for. Max, those suggestions for your guitar upgrade are stupid, but Travis's bridge pickup and speaker swap, that's what I would have done. That's awesome. Yeah, that's I don't know why I even.
Okay, so I don't know how much a good bridge pickup is. I mean, I would assume around $100, but I'm sure
probably
there's
right.
some. Huh?
You're probably right.
Of course I'm hash brown right. Right? But anyway, I think maybe be honest, I might look at a company like, I don't know, GFS. You know what I mean?
Yeah, good
They have,
stuff.
I mean, there's stuff, I've heard some of that stuff and parts casters and things like that, and been like, wow. And I think they're like $50. So after a speaker and a pickup, I'm still left with $50. Man, I would do my homework and see if there was a delay out there I could get for $50, because I love a delay. But if I couldn't, I would probably buy a Digitech Bad Monkey.
I could see that.
Then have 2 tube screamers, right? What's better than 1 tube screamer?
2 tube screamers.
2 tube screamers.
And 1 enclosure. Drip pedal. Just saying, just tossing it out.
Tossing it out there. See how
Visual
it comes
sound.
back.
That'd be visual sound.
No, it's not the same.
They have one?
They had one, double
It's like an upside down house.
Yeah, like home plate.
It's called Double Trouble, yeah.
double trouble. That's
Double
it.
trouble?
Yep.
Double
I
trouble.
don't know if they might have discontinued that,
I don't know.
but they did it one time anyways. So
And you could use it for home plate.
you're playing baseball, you
Yeah.
just throw your $150 pedal on the ground and step on it a bunch. While you're running around the field,
Hey, it's a stomp box.
and made for baseball.
Am I gonna
for
start,
stepping on.
Am I gonna start putting this in the warranty? Do not play baseball with your pedals. Warranty will be void if you play baseball with your pedals.
Can only be used as pitcher's mound, not bases. Okay, so that's good stuff, I think, right? I mean, so you went kind of all over the place except for the guitar.
Yeah,
know.
that's just me. I'm
Right,
just not
of course.
I'm not a big pickup changing type of guy.
Right. Well, I would pay somebody to do it. I wouldn't
mean,
do it.
like-
So, I know what you mean.
I mean, I've changed pickups before, but that's not like my first go-to and
Right.
changing the sound on a budget. You know,
Right.
That's not one of my first things. My first thing would definitely be speaker.
Right. Yeah, same
In
here.
fact, if someone said, you know what, you can buy one thing and change your tone, I would say
Speaker. Hands down for me. Yours would probably be pickup.
I'm a big guy that changes pickups. You said I'm not a big guy that changes pickups. I said I am a big guy that changes. Anyways, yes, I would change the pickups on my guitar.
I said I'm big.
You lost me.
I meant
Yeah.
I'm not real particular.
Oh,
Yeah.
far out, man.
There's a
I know what you're
literary
saying.
joke.
now.
I said I'm not real big on changing pickups as like the
I
first
thought
most
you were looking at
important
me. I was
thing.
like,
No.
I didn't say anything.
I was
like
trying to get
that.
a laugh. I'm like, Travis will
no.
laugh. He likes literary jokes.
Yeah.
Evidently not.
Well, I
Hashtag
thought,
wrong.
But you were looking at you were looking at me, saying you said, but you were looking at me because you wanted me to laugh. Yeah.
I don't know what they're talking about.
Whatever.
Okay, so yeah, to me, speaker, to you, speaker, and you probably pickups.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hands on.
And I will say one thing, maybe like I could see that in a Strat before I could see a humbucker, or maybe even a Telecaster with the pickup change. You know what I mean? Because, and maybe it's just me, but I play on the neck pickup on a Strat a lot, and I think that's a huge difference on a Stratocaster as a pickup sound.
Yeah, it is.
You know, so I can see that.
Keep in mind, yeah, I could see that. I mean, a lot of it's though that you're not playing like super dirty a lot. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
Whereas I probably play with more distortion.
Yeah, you play more extortion.
More extortion.
Yeah, you play more
Wait a minute.
distortion.
I think that's an electro-harmonics pedal. So no.
It actually is.
Is it?
Yes, it is. Yes.
You know what's actually kind
is.
of I guess entertaining to me. None of us chose cables as being that important.
Well, I have a tube screamer, and it's a buffer.
Boom.
Wow, I was expecting some type of like
No,
resistance there.
That's one of my big things. Is people like, what kind of cable should I get? I'm like, do you have a
buffer?
buffer up front? Yeah, I'm like, it's not going to make it near as dramatic of a difference if you have a buffer.
Yeah, or you know, another way to word that is it's not going to make a big difference as if you didn't.
Yeah,
have a
if you
buffer.
don't have a buffer, yeah, you'll notice gigantic.
Yeah, and if
changes
you
in
don't,
cable.
and a lot of people think too is like I think what's our buffer 139?
Yes.
Somewhere near there.
Yeah, is it 139?
39.97.
Yeah, the decibel. You know, a lot of stuff too is people are like, well, I can buy better cables for cheaper than that. But it's like, can you really after you spend, 15-foot cable twice and then...
Yeah, my personal take on that is, if you have a buffer, it's just a better way of doing it, I think.
Right.
I mean, I don't
And
know.
of course, that's personal preference.
It's a personal preference.
and there's nothing wrong with high-end cable.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Right. Yeah. So,
I mean, like I use a lot of the lava cable stuff.
right. The Clear Connect is what you use, I think.
Yeah.
So, but no, you're right. It's so funny that I was expecting some type of resistance one way or the other. And I was like, well, I got a tube screamer. It's got a buffer. And then dead silence, tumbleweeds,
I took my joke earlier.
So I mean, that kind of wraps that up, right?
Sure.
I mean, I can't think of anything else that would make me say, wow, I've got to go that route, So another thing we had, I honestly don't know if we have enough time to get into this. Let's make it quick.
Okay.
Let's see. Somebody wanted to know about, are true bypass loopers that important? And let me kind of add on to
You're talking
that.
about like assignable loopers, right? Not like a true bypass box.
No, true bypass loopers. Just
Okay.
yeah, not the programmable.
Okay.
Okay, because I mean, obviously, there's an obvious convenience to that. There's an obvious reason as to why you would want that.
Right. Okay.
At least I would think so, right? I mean, I have one, but let me ask you this: if somebody said, "Here's one for free," would you use it?
I don't have room on my board for it.
You'd use it.
Probably one.
Yeah, you would use
I
it.
guess it kind of depends though if your pedals are mostly true bypass though or not.
Exactly.
You know?
Well, that's what I'm talking about.
Because you're using a lot
programmable
more
things,
cable running from that pedal to
Right.
the bypass looper back to the pedal.
Right, and
you know.
and you know that's why this guy had this question. He's like, I guess I don't get it, and if I read it right, but to him it was like, if all your boxes are true bypass anyway, and you know, like we talked about in an earlier episode, it's all the rage still was true bypass. So why would you want a true bypass looper? And I can see the upside, and I can see the reasonable, like, yeah, why? So my thing is this: if you play out a lot and you do not sing, then I could say you probably don't need one. You know, because you have time to take, you can look down and step on your pedals.
I can see from that point of view, just a convenience thing of knowing everything's on the row rather than
Right.
up here and over there and over here and over there.
Right, and if you
can see that.
sing, it's kind of just like having a master controller, so you can, like, I have a programmable looper, and you know, unfortunately for people who listen, I sing, so I know exactly where everything is, you know, and I don't even have to move my foot. I can just rotate on the heel,
Right.
you know?
Oh, yeah, that's a lot more handy.
Yeah, so I get that, and even if it wasn't programmable, you know, I guess that's the upside for me on that, you know. And if you are using a lot of vintage pedals, maybe you want true bypass.
Don't step on it, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, you know. Oh yeah, I didn't think about that, damaging your pedal.
damaging it.
Actually, now to think about it, my
You don't get them scratched. Don't get them dirty.
yeah, my TS9 or OD9, that Maxon I have. Every now and again, when I step on it, man, it goes crazy.
Yeah,
so
it's got something flaky going on in the switching there.
It does, but man, it sounds good.
I wish you knew someone who knew how to fix pedals.
Or somebody that had the time to fix pedals. I know people with the knowledge and the know-how. It's just the time. Why you gotta be busy running a business? Why you gotta be busy all the time creating jobs?
I'm just gonna quit.
Man, come on,
Please
right?
don't.
Yeah,
Please don't.
or at least give me enough time to where I can pay off some debt and build up my bank so people can rob it again.
Exactly.
You jerks. Seriously, who does that? It's like, you're that intelligent. Why wouldn't you like get a job or figure out a way to make money
I think
on the level?
Robbing bank accounts is their job.
Yeah, but it's not very on the level.
It's not honest, but it might be lucrative.
It
What
might
if you're trying to get a loan? What do you put as your job title there?
bank robber. Well, you wouldn't need a loan because you just borrow, air quotes, hash brown air quotes, right? Yeah.
There's two symbols floating around.
But, you know, yeah, jerks. That's all I'm going to say about that. Okay, so something real quick because we don't have much time left. But I can honestly, it's kind of somewhat related. But the multi-effects units, and I'm talking the analog units.
Okay, so not like the whole digital.
No,
all-in-one type things.
like Tech 21 has one. T-Rex has one.
I think so.
Bonato.
Yeah, Bonato. That's, you know. So I'll just say my point on it very quickly. I could never do it because, and no offense, boss, but I don't trust one man's ear for every pedal in my line. I just don't.
I could totally get that.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean? The same
absolutely.
guy that makes the distortion that I like probably isn't going to make the delay or modulation pedal that I like.
Well, and for me personally, like I was said on a couple episodes ago, I mean, in the middle of a gig between sets, I will change everything on my pedal board.
Yeah.
Just because I get tired of listening to the same stuff for an hour.
Yeah, my thing is that kind of thing, I think, is just pure convenience. That's that's the only reason I can see somebody wanting one.
And I mean, there are a lot of people I know who've bought those and said it's really handy. Like if you're on a
fly date,
quick fly date, you know, just throw it in your bag and you can go. You know,
right? So I mean, is that kind of how you see it too?
Yeah, that's what I would use. Yeah, just as you don't. One, you don't. I guess you don't have to worry about like cable failure or anything else. You know.
Well, there's always. I mean, there's
if you
more
have
going on in there. So
if you have a switch failure though, then your unit's out.
rig is out.
Wrong again. So I got.
And he's
Nope.
finally.
What's your
learned.
opinion on it? This is my opinion.
Nope, you're right.
No, that's not your opinion because it's stupid.
It's not stupid. I'm sorry. You're
No, you're not.
You know what? I am totally sorry, but you are completely right. We just basically said no. You're wrong.
Yeah. So what's your opinion? Not that that's important. No.
Dude, I actually like seriously have that warm feeling you get when you're embarrassed because you feel like a jerk. I have that right now. I'm so sorry, man.
Well, good.
Dang it! I'll buy you some.
You should.
Yeah, I'm gonna buy you some ice cream. That'll fix it.
Because I'm fat?
You're not easy with the F word, bro. Easy with the
I'll
F
take
word.
ice cream anytime. It's delicious.
I know, right?
That's my
Yeah.
favorite.
Yeah, that's our thing, man.
I'd have people send it to me, but it'd probably be melty by the time I got here.
Not if it's those Walmart ice cream sandwiches. They don't melt.
That's true.
Seriously, check it out
It's
on the
probably on my
interwebs.
desk right now.
Yeah, seriously, have you seen this thing on the internet?
Huh.
Yeah, dude, like the Wally World ice cream sandwiches, they leave them out and come back in like hours, and they are still perfect.
That's because they're perfect. They have
Yeah,
perfect preservatives in them.
But
Yeah.
if we had some in our freezer right now, I'd go mal on one.
Oh, dude.
Nom, 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 nom.
Yeah, hash brown nom nom nom.
I think I had an Instagram post. I actually
Of
put
popsicles.
popsicles, and I put hashtag nom nom nom.
You did.
Yeah,
you
check
did.
it out. Check it out.
Yeah,
Instagram.
Wampler Pedals Instagram. Yeah, you'll see a picture of Max wearing a lady's shirt over top of his man's shirt.
It's true.
That's
It is true. Yeah, and it had sequins on it, or what you call
Yeah,
those
no,
rhinestones.
it was rhinestone. It was really small. When I put it on, the logo just kept getting stretched and more thin. It took. I think Logan was there. It took like I'd probably get 3 minutes to like try to finagle it over my head and through my arms and stuff. I was like, I'm gonna rip this, but who cares?
I don't care. Who cares? It's gonna make an awesome Instagram post.
But yeah, then we put it back in the storeroom. So I hopefully somebody doesn't have it. Be like, why is this so stretched out?
So it will be comfortable.
Yes, distorted logo.
So I mean, I'm not trying to sell that topic short. You know, the multi effects unit, but I mean, I really don't have much experience with them. My whole thing is, I get why they're convenient. You know, grab and go. Everything's all right there. You know, but at the same time, my bottom line is, I don't trust one builder for all my tones.
Yeah, I can see that.
You know,
And mine is I just don't have the attention span enough to want to play on the same thing for 4 hours.
see, I'm opposite there. I would rather have like, even if I only use 3 of them, I'd rather have like 8 pedals on my board and leave it that way for the rest of my life.
Yeah, I'm total opposite.
Yeah, not me. I'd rather have the same pedals, find my sound, and then have options, and then go, and then change my amps.
Well, but see, that's why I started building pedals, because it gets really annoying to your band members when you bring 5 amps with you.
Not if your name's on the band.
That's true. Well, some of us aren't WT Feaster.
Band. See?
Yes.
Yeah, so you put your name on the band, you can get away with it. Doesn't mean you're not going to get made fun of. But, you know, it's like, hey, who's cashing the checks? Right?
You cashing the checks, you
It's
do
like,
what it says.
look, you play your 4-hour gig, and I'll give you your $35.
You play drums. Shut up.
Okay. Well, we had done some good stuff there, kind of wrapping up, you know, the multi-effects. But I thought that was a good idea to go through kind of like the more inexpensive rig and figuring out what that one upgrade could be. So hopefully, if you guys have any suggestions of another thing that'd be cool to upgrade, or we got a lot of responses to the bargain pedals. You know, that was really good. Hit us up with an email, podcast@wamplerpedals.com. And we'll get back to you, and if we use your suggestion or moreover topic on the show, we'll send you a free T-shirt. Right? You're just gonna have to tell me. I'm gonna say that at the end of every episode.
That's basically a given. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, like I say every episode, ain't my money.
I just remember that one episode. We'll send you a free pedal board. I'm like, what?
yeah. It's kind of like that time we were at a show, and you had like. It was when we had 21 pedals out. And some guy comes up and is like, how much for the whole board? And Brian goes, well, $2,000. And I start tugging on his shirt. He's like, what? I was like, no. And you're like, why? And you're like, the 100 there, but oh yeah, more like $4,000.
And Joe's like, if I was that guy, I'd have been like, okay.
Yeah, exactly. And then gone to eBay, right? And then
To your
keep
high
the ones you
school.
want, you know? Yeah. But
Or just play a lot of baseball.
Oh yeah. I see what you did there. Going back to the baseball.
Going back to the
thing.
baseball thing. Yeah.
Oh yeah. By the way, it's football season. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I can go on forever about football. But thank you guys so much for listening. Shoot us an email, podcast@wamplerpedals.com.